Hello, it's Ahmed Nasser here, and today we're diving into the exciting world of asset depreciation. Are you managing fixed assets in your business but feeling a bit lost when it comes to depreciation? Fear not. In this video, I'll guide you through the process step by step. Whether you're a beginner or an Excel enthusiast, we've got you covered. Let's break it down. In this video, we will use Excel functions for depreciation, SLN for straight line depreciation, SYD for sum of the year's digits, DDB for double declining balance, and we will create your depreciation dynamic table. We'll construct a handy table that tracks your assets' value over time. Each row represents a year, and we'll calculate the depreciation for that year. Keep an eye on the accumulated depreciation, it's crucial. Asset purchase timing. If you bought the asset at the beginning of the year, I've got you covered. And don't worry, I'll address assets purchased during the year in another video for members of my channel. Stay tuned. Remember, choosing the right method depends on your business needs and the type of asset. So grab your Excel spreadsheets and let's unravel the depreciation mystery together. Feel free to ask any questions, and if you find this video helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Before we jump in, I wanted to take a quick moment to thank all of you who have already joined our channel membership. Your support is what allows me to keep creating these helpful Excel tutorials. By membership, you can access all the downloadable Excel files used in previous videos, and most importantly, it helps me continue creating awesome content for you. Are you ready? Let's begin. As you see here, we have the main data of the assets, like cost, salvage value, and useful life. We must indicate the date of purchase and depreciation method. Here we have a table which will be dynamic depending on useful life. I choose these titles for it. Year, book value at the year start, depreciation base, depreciation expense, accumulated depreciation, and book value at the year end. I put the three main methods temporarily here, and I will move them to another place later. In F2, I will choose one of the three depreciation method. I will use data validation. Data tab. From Data Tools group, choose Data Validation. Choose List. In source box, I will choose A18, A20 range. To get all depreciations through the useful life, I will use sequence function with depreciation functions. I explain sequence functions tips in another video. You can see its link in the description. Let me start with straight line method. I will use SLN function. This function has three arguments. Cost, required. The initial cost of the asset. Salvage, required. The value at the end of the depreciation. This value can be 0. Life, required. The number of periods over which the asset is being depreciated. Let me fill them. The cost is in B1 cell. The salvage is in B2 cell. And the life is in B3 cell. If I press enter, I will get the depreciation expense in each year of the useful life. I want to repeat it over the number of years of useful life. Simply add sequence function. No rows needed. The columns I need is in B3 cell. Close sequence parenthesis. Write asterisk in 0 so that the value of the function becomes null. Now you can see that the depreciation will be repeated over the number of years of useful life. It's different for the following function because the depreciation will be variable over the number of years. Here I will use DDB function. This function has 5 arguments. Cost, required. The initial cost of the asset. Salvage, required. The value at the end of the depreciation. This value can be 0. Life, required. The number of periods over which the asset is being depreciated. Period, required. The period for which you want to calculate the depreciation. Period must use the same units as life. Factor, optional. The rate at which the balance declines. If factor is omitted, it is assumed to be 2. I will fill the first 4 arguments. Let's see how. The cost is in B1 cell. The salvage is in B2 cell, and the life is in B3 cell. In the period, I will use sequence function. No rows needed. The columns I need is in B3 cell. Here I will use SYD function, which has the 4 arguments which are similar to the previous ones: cost, salvage, life, and period. Let's fill them as the previous. The cost is in B1 cell. The salvage is in B2 cell, and the life is in B3 cell. In the period, I will use sequence function. No rows needed. The columns I need is in B3 cell. Now you can see that the depreciation will change dynamically depending on the number of years of useful life. Now I will move this table to another range in this worksheet. Delete these rows. Now let me fill the depreciation table. And before that I will choose straight line method. In the year field I will use sequence function. The rows value I need is in B3. No columns needed. In the start argument I will use year function. I want to extract the year from the date of purchase, which is in E1. I will leave the book value on the year start temporarily. The depreciation base is equal to the cost minus the salvage value. As usual, to repeat the value, I will use sequence function and multiply it by 0 to make it 0. For depreciation expense, I will use VLOOKUP and sequence functions. I explained the magic of these two functions in another video. You can see it in the description. Lookup value is E2 cell. Table array is L1, N3 range. Replace N with C to get more columns. For column index 1, we'll use sequence function. Also, B3 cell for rows. Close sequence parenthesis, then type comma. Type false to get exact match. I forgot to add 1 to sequence function. Now the depreciation expense values are dependent on the depreciation method. For accumulated depreciation, I need a dynamic running balance. I will use a trick with SUMIFS function. I explained that in another video. You can see its link in the description. Sum range is D6 hashtag range. Criteria range 1 is A6 hashtag range. Criteria 1 is less than or equal to between double quotations. Don't forget the and mark, then highlight A6 hashtag range. This will give me a running balance of D6 hashtag, or in another word, the accumulated depreciation. The book value at the year end is B1 minus E6 hashtag. Now let's turn to the book value at the year start. At the first year, the book value is cost of the asset, its B1 value. In the remaining years, the book values are the first 4 values of F6 hashtag. To get them dynamically, I will use offset function. The reference is F6 cell. No rows and no columns needed. The height in our example is 4. Simply highlight B3 cell, then type -1. To get a dynamic range as the other ranges in this table, I will use VStack function. Cut this formula without equal sign. Delete the equal sign. Precede B1 in the formula with VStack. After B1, type comma, then paste the formula I cut before. Now I will use conditional formatting for table borders. Then I have a little mistake in the depreciation expense formula. I will correct it, so stay with me. I will use his number function for conditional format. Temporarily in G1 I will type the formula. The value is in A1 cell, with absolute reference for column and relative reference for the row. Press F4 to get this mixed reference. Highlight the formula and copy it. Select A to F columns. Conditional formatting from the Home tab in the ribbon. Choose New Row, then use a formula to determine which cell to format. Paste the formula I copied before. Go to the Format button. Go to the Border tab. Choose the border you want, then All Borders. Delete G1 content. To avoid any error in the formulas, you can add if error function to your formulas. Now the table is running well. But if I put 15 years, there is a problem. The range in the depreciation expense is insufficient. Instead of Z3, I will put ZZ3. At the end, don't forget to use accounting format for the numbers. Thanks for watching. I hope this video helped you learn a new trick in Excel. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll do my best to answer them. Until next time, see you later.